everybody. Welcome to Southern Renaissance. I got here one of my favorite people in the world. I say that like every time I think, but this really is true. This is one of my best friends, Tommy Norris. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you.
Freaking, we've known each other. You probably, I know you more than just about anybody in my life.
It's been a long time, man.
I've known you since we were like little kids or something, which is like just a few years ago. We're not old at all. But yeah, so me and your cousin Philip, it was this long ago. This is a context that we were playing Nintendo. I had just gotten a Nintendo, and that's how me and Philip bonded.
Yeah, that's what I called him on the way over here to ask him. So what year was that? And they was like, well, I had this teacher, so I had to been in this grade, and you had this teacher. And I'm like, yeah, that was my 5th grade year. And that's when I met a lot of my best friends that I have still to this day.
Yeah, man.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
something about that age, you're at your most.
Yeah,
You're not an adult. You're not, a little kid, but you're somewhere in between.
Yeah, you would call them the Stand By Me years or something like that.
Yeah, just like it was in that movie,
Yeah, we saw lots of dead bodies. We caused quite a few of them, but
maybe some dead fish.
Oh yeah, that was bad. But yeah, man. Well, let's see. But yeah, me and Philip became friends, and Philip is your cousin. So then you lived right up the road, and this is out in the country, out in like Vinemont, and we'd all start hanging out, and then I got to know you, man. I'm like, you like all this weird music and stuff like I did.
Then we met, a few years later as we got a little older.
Yeah.
And I guess you went to another school or something and came back, and you were, into music.
Yeah, there may or may not have been an incident at Vinemont High School that I may or may not have got kicked out of there, and may or may not had to go to Hollycon High School, but I cannot confirm, neither deny.
But you met a lot of good folks over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
home of the Broncos.
The better, reason.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, you came back and you were into a lot of music, and at that same time is when I was getting into a lot of music. I guess it's something about that age, I think at that time, thrash metal was really big.
Oh yeah.
So that was on everybody's menu.
Big for us anyway. Maybe not our classmates.
In Coleman, Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, MTV was sort of a new thing. I don't think we had it out in the sticks at that point.
Yeah.
So it was tape trading pretty much.
Yep.
Somebody had to tape. Somebody, especially if someone came from out of town, hey, listen to this. Anthrax, Metallica. There was a whole bunch of stuff at that time, and then when you came back, you were really into punk rock, and that was that introduction to me.
Oh yeah,
to like real punk rock.
Yeah, man.
And then I went
like Green Day. Wait, no.
Like Subhumans.
That was way after that.
Subhumans was the first band that I remember. You gave me a cassette to. I was like, this is different. This is totally different than thrash metal, and unique in a way that just really struck a chord. And then I think some of the other things, we used to go to Video Express.
Oh, yeah.
And rent,
Video Express.
Decline of Western Civilization.
Oh, yeah. That was big.
And UKDK was a real big, that documentary. And all those British bands, Var UKers, Chaos UK, Disorder. I'd go back and back and back to that video and try to find that stuff. And it's not easy to find that stuff in Alabama. What was that, like the early 1990s?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, I'm sure they had internet or something, but it wasn't like it is now. You could just
it wasn't
go
like
to
everybody didn't
Amazon
have it
and buy it.
Yeah.
You had to find something somewhere and order it. Even I remember going to the Pharaoh shop, and they had that little kiosk. Type in like MDC, and it may find something.
Oh, yeah.
And it may not. And I had my little list. You'd go to Camelot Music in Decatur.
Yep.
And hope, you may find something, you may not. Carried that list around in my wallet for a long time.
That's awesome.
Some of those things I found, and mostly you just looked at something that was in that area and would find something that you never heard of. I think that's how I found Rage Against the Machine. I just seen that album cover, and I'm like, this has got to be interesting.
Oh,
it was a very, turning point band. That was just, at that time frame, there was nothing like that.
Yeah. Folk show.
And it just, goes on and on from there, especially when the internet got like it was, and the accessibility to good music.
Oh yeah.
And then the accessibility to meet other people that liked good music. That's when, it really got interesting.
Yeah, well, I remember
just alone.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like our small town we were in, and like we had such sort of eclectic taste compared to what everybody else liked. So, and then back then too, zines were kind of a thing.
Yes,
and that was a way to kind of hear about
That's
like local
we were talking
kind
about
of
a minute ago. Bookland.
Bookland.
You'd go to the back, and there would be your music magazines, and you would look in the back, and this band was talking about this band. So if the band that you likes that band, then I probably need to check out what
it was
they're
almost like
about.
A job reference. Like, you can vouch for them, so I'm going to check it out.
And it was, and I wasn't into sports, but music just always clicked. There wasn't until you heard something. A band like Anthrax or something that was uniquely different. There was stuff that you heard growing up. Then it was, that's neat. I like that. That's, got something that's resonating with me, but I never was excited about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you started hearing riffs, and heaviness,
Yeah, man.
It does something, especially when you're at that age. You're going into puberty, and it's just like,
I think the first time I got into just being into hearing good riffage is I bought I didn't know anything about them at the time, but I bought a cassette, Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, man, this is awesome.
It is.
I had my little cassette player that was it had a little black and white TV on it, and I thought I was freaking the Jetsons or something. It was about a 2-inch black and white thing.
Yeah, I remember those.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the excitability to stuff like that compared to now where anybody could just be overly stimulated. You get stuff on your phone, that just I know what you like, and I'll tell you what you like.
Yeah, I'll tell you what you like.
You do know me.
Yeah, you do know me pretty well.
See when I click on it, so
yeah.
And just the genres, the amount of the volume, it's just unreal.
Yeah, man.
And that's it's a good thing, but at the same time, you feel like you had to work for it back then.
Oh, for sure, man.
I remember. We'd go watch the Fun Girls play.
Yeah, Fun Girls from Mount
Pilot. That stack of records and I got just as excited about those records as I did about watching the band, because he had just Merrill, all the
I remember that band,
Dern Bladstein, hardcore, and it was something totally different and organic to that style of music. That was, instead of being in a studio where something's sort of polished and it has to sound like this. It was what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was so. Hey, wow, there's something, beautiful here going on. It may be aggressive. It may be out on left field. And then just as I got older, it got weirder and weirder. And,
but there was something artistic about it. It sounded different and unique. And
I was still looking for any, punk and hardcore that didn't sound like the other band.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you get into punk, there was so many bands that just started to sound like other bands. You were looking for something that sounded different.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, other people were doing that too. So they would spin off into this whole other genre. And then before you know it, it's the same thing again. It's now I'm got to find something different. Because that's kind of how it went with metalcore, and that stuff's great. I still love it, but I had to keep just like in the beginning. Skinny Puppy, Ministry, all those bands are punk in essence.
Yeah, and ethos or whatever you call it.
But still uniquely different. I wouldn't call them a punk band, but it's definitely there.
Throbbing Gristle. Yeah. It's not really a punk band, but they kind of are
as much
too.
Electronic, and I can listen to electronic music and get that same essence of punk rock. Just it's at a different methodology.
Yeah. Different tools.
Right, and I know I still listen to a lot of electronic. I just downloaded some stuff for Bandcamp a minute ago. It knows what you like, so you'll click on it. And,
that's right.
I do like that.
I do. You're
it's
correct.
Only $2.
Yeah, man, and it's cool because you get that stuff on Bandcamp. You're supporting the scene and stuff.
And it could be somebody in Japan. It could be somebody in France. It's all over the place. It's amazing what compared to when we were growing up.
Everything's connected. I'm like
coveted those, and I still have records that I covet to this day.
Oh yeah, me too. Even some of those, this is a story. It's been a while now, but my first marriage, I got divorced.
Yeah.
and then, you saved the day. I didn't really have anywhere to stay because we had left that house. Mm-hmm. So I was able to stay over there with Tommy at his place for a little while. And I was like, man, I ain't got no cash. Here, have some of my old 7-inch records. And it had a few records in there that I loved. But like, this is Tommy, and like he loved them too. So like one of my prized possessions was that Johnny Vomit and the Heaves 7-inch record. And I was like, but the other day I was over there and you gave them back to me. I'm like, man, I feel bad.
I don't throw anything away.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And you had a lot of other good records that I'm sure got put in a storage bin somewhere.
Spaz.
And they're gone. Yeah, it's a Spaz Romantic Gorilla split 12-inch. And it was a stack of stuff. And that's what we did. We would go down to Birmingham to the Beat and go through Russell's stuff.
Yep.
And it's like, here's my paycheck,
Yeah.
And he had, I don't know where he pulled all that stuff from.
I'm
if he
not
just
sure
listened to as much eclectic stuff, because he seemed like a hippie almost. But the stuff that he had it was such a huge variety. And that's just, that and Sunburst. Remember Sunburst?
Yeah, Sunburst Records in Huntsville,
And then, going to shows, you could always pick up, usually the band that was touring had something with them.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I had a record player until I started going to punk shows. Well, I got to get one now.
Yeah.
Because I got to get, that's the only way I'm going to get this stuff transferred to cassette. And then you do tape trading with this guy at a pen pal in Ireland that I was sending stuff to.
I remember that. Yeah.
And, the tape trading was just what we did. You bought something, I'll buy this, you buy this, I'll make you a copy of this. And, that we both benefit from it.
Yeah.
And I probably got some of that stuff. A lot of it I've lost.
I remember you saying that the dude from Ireland came here one time and he just wanted to get laid or something.
Well, he wanted to blow things up because
blow things up.
The IRA was there's restrictions. So bottle rockets and like BB guns,
like fireworks and stuff, like what we would do out in the country. I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
That was very exciting to him because he couldn't. I'm sure he wanted to do that too.
I don't know.
But yeah, we had a blast. I wish I could find him. I tried to find him on Facebook, and when you type in a random person's name, you're going to get 30, 40 people.
All those Irish names, there's like 50 million of them. Right. I'm genetically a McCarthy, so
yeah. There's O'Briens and McCluskey. And a lot of Macs.
Yeah, for sure. Well, shoot, man. I know it's funny because we just started talking, and that's the thing. Like we've known each other so long, we could tell a million stories. You normally have questions, and I'll ask, but it's like we could just go on
we've
forever.
Always had fun.
It's like
you've always been just the guy in the room that makes the day fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that was what was fun about our first band. And, I couldn't play. You could play. So I
still had a lot to go. I was struggling.
Well, I had to, watching your fingers. And then when we started playing with Leo is when I really started kind of,
so that's
based with rhythm,
So just to recap, our first episode I did with Jason Sims, he was the singer in our first band, which Tommy was the bass player and I was the guitar player. And we were more performance art. I mean, we were okay, but we were.
People dug us though. I think.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, we tried to put on a good show.
Bring this back for some reason.
Yeah. He's.
Hey, you guys available to come in and play? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun time. But yeah, then when we started playing with Leo, he played drums with us, and it turned into like a trio. Yeah. And I was playing guitar and singing.
Really good.
He was playing bass.
Everybody kicked it up.
Yeah, Leo's really accomplished drummer even back then. So yeah, that was Skank Williams Jr. was the name of that band.
And then the Frantics is what it morphed into.
Frantics, yeah.
Apparently there was a band from San Francisco called the Frantics.
Yeah. Just
like there's, Keith Morris has got his off now, but back then he didn't,
Yeah, that was our name.
I knew of name off. And then I think it had a couple other conceptions. I think AKA that was when Turtle was in it.
Yeah,
and it just kept evolving into different things. And then maybe in a single parent and stuff, it kind of, I said that really made it fizzle out, but it was making it difficult. And then you were really getting into rockabilly and stuff.
Yeah, man.
And I think I was playing another little gig thing with Turtle and another fella. But it was just like, but when you're working all the time, it was just something to do for fun. It's just going out and playing with other bands and doing shows. But we had a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, man, for sure.
When we were at Leo and it was steady, but there was a scene, a pretty good scene back then, man, in Birmingham. I mean, Russell really... I don't know. There may have been some other people doing what he was doing, but what he was doing, offshot a bunch of other little places.
Yeah, there was something special
that fizzled
about
out. That's when hardcore metalcore was really kind of taking off, and then you had like Cave 9, and that was a cool place to go for a long time. And then Bottle Tree was a great place for a while, and then I guess that husband and wife duo moved away or whatever happened there. But I see some incredible bands at all those places.
Yeah, man.
Some of them as they were up and coming, and a lot of those bands aren't together anymore. So you're in that moment in time and caught it, and cherish it, and because everybody didn't have one of these little doodads in their hand.
Yeah,
film
exactly.
it, where you could just go back and look at it.
Exactly. And I'm kind of glad that all that's not on film.
Well,
some of it anyway.
Some of those bands where people have passed away. And like the show where I was talking earlier about His Hero's Gone, Man is the Bastard, and Ass Suck. That show was probably the best show. I had Goose Flesh, it was just
Goose Flesh. Intense. That should be a band name.
I'm sure it is somewhere. But that was probably the best show. It was just so raw and intense. And there was a fella there that night that had a video camera, and I got his address and tried to write him, and because he didn't have cell phones and stuff back then, so you're just waiting to see if someone corresponded back, and never did hear from him. So it's out there somewhere.
I remember
probably in somebody's dresser drawer.
Yeah, probably so.
Iconic,
I remember Man is the Bastard being like an interesting band because they were sort of like had the rock
two bass players,
but then they had the guy that just had all this built like hand built modular synth stuff.
Dams for Christ stuff.
The bleep blops.
He still plays with that outfit, I think.
It was kind of interesting because no one else other than just crazy nerds were doing that kind of stuff back then.
And you were either into it or you weren't.
Yeah.
But it was during that whole power violence thing, like with Spaz and a whole host of aggressive hardcore. But they did something that was uniquely different. Yeah. I mean, that high end bass and the low end bass.
Yeah. It was an interesting group, man.
It was awesome. We played with Cavity a couple times. They were always at the beat. There was a lot of really good stuff, bands touring and stuff in circulation back then. And it was like really just getting the van and go kind of days as opposed to now where everything's organized. They can get it all on Facebook and communication can get out there. It's just like back then the flyers. Russell had his flyers up.
We made so many, like they're literally photocopying like a ransom note. That's how we made flyers.
What you do. You went to the show and you'd say, Russell's got a new flyer up there. Here's what's coming, man. Oh God, I got to remember that date. Or you just rip the flyer off and put it in your pocket so you wouldn't forget it. Because he'll just put another one up.
And that was called American Beat. If anybody didn't know, it's American Beat, and it was in Birmingham over near UAB.
Right, you can see UAB in the backdrop, and there was a Domino's pizza, and it wasn't much bigger than this room, really.
I remember
it was
I'd always need to pee really bad, but they wouldn't let us do it at Domino's right next to.
You had to go behind the building.
So we'd go. So there's probably like dead grass behind the building.
Right, well, it was concrete, like a gutter thing, but I just remember him having to roll those records out, to get room in there, and I think
it was a small place.
I know, but he had shows played there, and
the Vandals.
There was a lot of bands that came through there, man. Kalara was the band that played there. I remember seeing them a couple times. Cavity played a lot.
Yeah. Waffle House Rioters. You remember them?
Yes. Big Dan and those guys. They were incredible. I love those dudes.
That was fun.
The Mephodis was the one, and they went on to be in the members in that went into being Haste.
Oh yeah,
I loved Mephodis. I really liked those guys.
They were good. Yeah,
that was almost like in that power violence, crusty punk, But
they were super cool dudes. Like it's like most people that I know, they're in metal bands or like hardcore punk. You talk to them normally, and they're just like super nice. I guess because they get all that out on stage.
I guess, yeah. I've seen you see them at shows. Like if Melvin's comes into town or Sun O's coming. In December, I'm sure that you'll see some familiar faces there. You just run into them from time to time. It's like, hey, you playing? Some maybe. Most of them don't play anymore. They all just like me. They never had kids and stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you got to prioritize.
But that drummer was incredible. He went on being like several other bands. Catch Fire, I think what they were called. And can't go to shows like you used to. But I mean, there was always something going on back then, and there is now to a degree, but
it's different.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
I think just society has changed that much since back then because of technology. I think that was the big difference.
I mean, that's what brought it all. It went into like a small hiatus, and then technology really made it user friendly to get the word out there, to get people to the shows, and then those shows influence more people and more bands, more things. You see what they've done with the Furnace Fest and how I haven't, we didn't go this year, but I mean the mass of people. These aren't just Southern people coming. This is from all over the United States. It's an incredible thing to see.
Yeah, dude. I've never been to the Furnace Fest, but I've heard cool things about it.
Well, if you like metal and hardcore and punk rock.
But I only listen to elevator music. That's all I listen to.
I listen to all kind of stuff now, man.
Yeah, all you do, man. You're one of the few people that I can think of that would be listening to like an Oi band like Cockspar, and then right after that put on like a techno record or something, or something random jazz.
Because
you got so
growing up, you're looking for stuff. And
it's exciting.
90.3 Echoes with the John D.
Oh yeah.
And I would find Steve Roche, Robert Rich, Brian Eno. That stuff gave me like a totally different feeling. And that's what music's all about, emotion.
Exactly.
Where that can bring you one place, and hard rock and punk rock, hardcore gives you another emotion. Of course, if you get a little older, you kind of go for the more ambient, I guess like the stoner groove, Sabbath type stuff, or it really just depends on my mood,
Yeah, definitely.
My phone's full of just one way or the extreme. PJ Cole,
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm obsessed with music, but every time I talk to you, you've got some new thing that I haven't heard of, and that's saying something.
Because I'm just, my not bored, but my mind's looking for a new stimulation factor.
No, totally. Man,
for something different, and you run the gauntlet with this for a while, and then like, okay, I'm bored with that. What else is there? And then this leads you to that, and especially with the internet.
Well, the more I think about it, and that's sort of almost the vibe I'm going with this podcast, is it sort of ends up being like anthropology, because you're actually having. And I remember you used to be really in the archaeology and anthropology, so it becomes that because you're having to search out things and investigate, and it's part of a cultural thing. So that's sort of like the vibe I was going for, because it's like all this stuff we know about that happened, but no one else knows about other than our little group of people that were around us.
I mean, growing up here, you just didn't have those resources that you have now. So you'd find, somebody that they may not like exactly the music you do, but they like something that wasn't, different than what was being played on the radio.
Yeah,
and that made them okay in your book.
Exactly.
Okay, well, you listen to this if you like. And a lot of stuff that people tried to turn me on to way back when, I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I like it now.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm trying to think of something. I used to hate
listening to King Crimson. I ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's gonna be Black Flag and Pantera or whatever.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fast. Man, I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with fast.
It took me a while to get to where I would listen to something slower. I would always, even playing guitar, I would always play really fast when we were playing together, and it took me a long time before I could even play slower because it was my default speed.
And it was our age too, though. That was something about that rhythm.
The guys that I play with now, like the TMFP band, they'll be like,
slow down.
They'll look at me because I'm like, it's burned in my brain, that punk rock or rock and roll, and they're like, that's the Red Bull version, because I'll take off, and I'm like, man, sorry. Can't help myself.
What happens? You might like it.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun, man. I've been I need to go see Leo. I've been working the weekends, recently switched jobs.
Yeah.
And so I lost touch with a lot of folks. But I ran into Leo a while back, and I may try to reach out to him at some point.
Yeah, man.
Definitely got to give him some copies of some of that old material.
Oh, yeah.
That, Ward had given me CDs. Just back to that tape trade and CD trade.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get that back. And some of that stuff, if you try to, go to YouTube and try to find it and nothing comes up, then there's something special there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's still stuff float, especially these local weird, just kind of oddball, random things that people do that might have been great, but no one has heard. But so it's great to like unearth that kind of weird stuff.
I need to upload some of the. What was the other place we used to go to? Tip Top Cafe.
Yeah, that's why I was
way early on.
When we went to the Tip Top, I remember us seeing the Fun Girls from Mount Pilot at Tip Top. It felt like going to New York City because I'm like from Colin. Man, this is a big city, and this is like the Tip Top Cafe, and we go in and like Fun Girls from Mount Pilot is playing, and it's all dudes.
Yeah, they're all from the South too. So
but they're like
1 hour up north from Huntsville.
I remember the bass player, man, this really big hairy dude, and he was wearing like a bikini with like bunny ears on or something.
And they were fast and incredible.
Yeah, and they were real snotty.
Record.
They're like Dead Boys if they were really fast.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. With a little bit of no effects.
Yeah,
you could hear some no effects in there.
They were great.
And they listened to all kind of music too, and that because you could tell because they had that little record, that House of Pain thing that they did, and they would bring those records too. So like, well, okay, I'll try this. Everybody's got $3 for a 7-inch, man, back then, and that's what it was. If you had $3 in your pocket, you're going home with at least some kind of music.
I feel like I'm talking to my dad now, like he was talking about he could get a RC Cola and a moon pie and go to the movie theater for a nickel or something. I don't know what 7 inches now. I'm sure it's a lot more, but I've got a huge amount of them, and a lot of those I'm sure weren't many of them pressed. Yeah, but I had some. And I'm sure the guys from I can't even remember the singer's what his real name was. They always had a different gimmick each time they played. It's been so long, man. I have trouble remembering. There was a bunch of. I was probably 17 bands that they recorded on that little House of Pain thing, and they'd do those little compilations. And it wasn't just there. I mean, Passive Fist was out of like South Carolina. They did a lot of the crusty punk stuff, and these were all dudes. For a good bit of them were from South Carolina. Sort of in the South, not but on this East Coast. Yeah, and there was a community of that stuff too. So back, what was the big Maximum Rock and Roll? Oh yeah, Maximum Rock. Right. So that was like the king of the zines. Right, you go to Sunburst and get that. It is just everything you could ever. What's this? What is this? Okay, well let me send them $3 and see what that's all about. Yeah, and that went on for a long time. That's where I found some of the half of my record collection. Oh yeah, was that during that whole when you're looking for. Anarcho punk rock, as one does, and aggressive, and one band would be uniquely different from the next band. So, and I don't even know. I've never tried to look on, the internet to see. I'm sure they're available out there on eBay somewhere. I probably will never part with mine. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's and just an interesting time. It's weird. It doesn't even seem real because there were so many things that were just surreal at the time. Yeah. I mean, records are back in a big way, so you can just get them anywhere now. But most bands will even have records when they come, But back then, I think bands had records because they were cheap to produce. Yeah, exactly. They were like, nobody wants records. They could easily go out and press a bunch, for a small amount of money, as opposed to making CDs weren't really. That was a little bit later. Yeah, so the cassettes were like. But you could buy that for $3, and I don't know what they paid, maybe $100 to get like. A box this big of them because that's what they brought with them, I remember us doing the Frantics cassette. It was like, man, we're uptown now. Y'all probably recorded those at Baker's or something, right? To master, put them into little. I can't even remember, man. But I know. I remember we cut out by hand
Reynolds
little insert. At Mixmasters.
Mixmasters. Yes.
And that's where we recorded Skank Williams Jr. I don't know whatever happened to Wayne Reynolds. Yeah,
that'd be a good dude to interview.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. He used to be in the band Ringo Lavio.
Yeah, and then we would go see him at Tip Top. Yeah. There's just like the precursor. Punk rock was building up, but there was that whole grunge Seattle thing going on. And
they had that kind of vibe.
There was so much music coming out at that time. And even before that came along, Skinny Puppy and Front 242, there was stuff that you were just grabbing here and there randomly to see what you may or may not like. Yeah, you may I kind of like it, and go back to it later, and then you really like it. Yeah, it kind of grows on you like a fungus. When you get listening, okay, let's go back and see what else is in here. I'm tired of listening to the same thing.
Especially like you can't just listen to anything at any time. So I'll give it another chance. This is all I got.
Pick it up on your phone. Yeah.
This is all I got.
I'd make those cassettes, and that's what I listen to all day at work with my headphones on while I'm working for 8 hours a day, just going through cassettes. And I had to have my my little basket full of stuff to make it through the day.
Yeah, man.
And swap it out, every other day.
I was right there with. I had one of the biggest Big Shorts thrash metal collections of cassettes.
Yeah, man.
I can't even remember half those bands. They all kind of sounded the same, but they were like thrash.
Yeah,
wore big shorts and had long hair.
Crows to Conformity was like a skate thrash band sort of in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they sort of turned into like a Sabbath-y style.
More slow, heavy
and then
groove.
I think they've kind of mingled up a little bit of the both.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I still love all that stuff, man.
Well, even like before we were in our very first band together, we used to jam on your porch, like your mom's porch. And it was like, that was the first,
we were, I guess, learning to
yeah,
to
we were
noise.
Learning.
That's
I mean, that was probably the band, but it was literally like, I remember you'd record it on cassette.
Always recorded it, yes.
A cassette player, but like the batteries would start to die. So it just, and the microphone wasn't great quality. So it was just, a lot of it was just us making feedback for several hours.
In the carport, feeding back in there. But it actually sounded pretty decent.
Yeah.
Those little, everybody had one of those little recorders back then.
Yeah.
I don't remember who made them, but the one about yay big that had all the buttons on it.
Yeah,
and stuff
man.
to tape in.
I remember thinking, man, he's got chorus on his amp. He's really up to because you could do. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew it would go whatever that noise was.
Anything that was different.
Yeah.
But not even having a drummer, we just used the Casio or whatever was available.
Yeah.
I don't remember who made that one little drum machine. Someone gave it to me from school. And I was like, here, my dad had this and he don't want it. You want it? No, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah. You had that weird red keytar thing. I don't remember.
What was that?
I think it was a keytar. Maybe it was a little keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a keytar.
Yes, a keyboard. Yeah. I seen one on a music video the other day, the same one, but it's retro stuff's real big now.
Oh yeah, man.
But yeah, it's in a closet somewhere.
Yeah,
but it had beats on it too.
That's what I was thinking we'd use that. I remember
anything that made the percussions that we used.
Yeah, man,
because we didn't have a drummer.
Yeah,
and that's you gotta have a beat.
I just remember your freaking mom is a saint because we were like, making feedback for like hours and hours on end, like in the porch, like you can hear echoing out in the country.
Not just that, but everybody, the microphone.
Oh yeah,
and, Jason reading out of library books or whatever when you run out of material.
Yeah, I remember I had brought that breakdancing book. It's like had instructional
somewhere I don't throw anything away. It's in a cassette somewhere. And I remember finding it. It's been probably 10 years ago and going back and listening to it, and it's still it was just that moment in time, and it's just fun.
Man, but
you're
mom,
a kid.
Yeah, dude. But your mom, she was so nice that she'd bring us out the sweet tea. Like, here you go, fellas or boys, and it's like we're just in there.
Did we ever play with? Did Leo ever come up there like set up the drums? I think by that point,
I can't remember. I don't think
we played in your dad's garage. I think.
Oh yeah,
we played somebody's garage
at some point. Yeah.
And then we practiced at Eric's had that music store.
Oh yeah, Eric
in the
Frank.
Back of that.
See, all these. It's funny because I've interviewed a lot of these people. Yeah. It's all connected. Like Eric Frank, that I recorded in Boaz the other day. We did the interview. He used to have a music store, and that's where Skank Williams Jr., our second band, used to practice.
And he had a whole little space back there.
He felt sorry for us. And he's like, keep them off the streets. Just put them back there where nobody can hear them.
Yeah, that was fun, man. I think we practiced somewhere else too. Over at Adams when we were. That's when we played in Off. That was at his house at least once a week.
You're talking about the beat machine. We were talking about how he had that little like beat thing. He played with the spoons.
Probably
that was like one level up from the guitar beat or whatever.
I don't know if it was that good.
Yeah, I think it may have been just like crunchy noises.
It was whatever it was. It was made in 1980. So
yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, it didn't have a good percussive type sound
so
like the stuff does
2-bit.
Yeah. A step down from Atari. I don't know, but it worked.
It was fun though. Yeah. It was fun, just that feeling. I wish I could get that feeling again of exploration, where your ears have heard certain things, and it's it's like going to explore a cave or something. If you're like, it's like,
and now there's
seeing
so much
things
stuff.
Or hearing.
Like I said, it was limited what you had, and that's what you were constantly looking for. something new, you know. And if I can't get my hands on enough new stuff, we'll just make some stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
If it's just noise, it's noise. Who cares? It's fun. And now it's just, you just got to pick up your phone and it's everything you can possibly think of under the sun, you know, overstimulation.
Yep.
And you see it in like the young folk, you know. They just,
the young folk.
Leave my son.
Yeah. So tell me about your son.
Which one, my oldest boy or youngest boy?
Both of them.
Well, my son Branson is he's a paralegal in Birmingham, and I think he's going into the nursing program.
Nice.
And Caleb is in first grade at mine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're the big pop.
Yeah, my daughter Kariana and Aubrey also go to Bama. So they're all still in. Kariana's in middle school, and the other two are in elementary school still.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, man, it's been fun. It's freaking, you know, it's always weird, especially like the very first. This was sort of, I don't want to say an experiment when I started doing this, but I was sort of feeling it out to see what was going to be the best format. And the very first episode I did was with Jason Sims, which I've known almost as long as you. So it was like sort of all over the place. So it's like, it's almost easier for me to interview somebody I don't know because I can stay on. But with us, it's all stories. And we have so much of a history that we could tell, man, we could write a book.
Yeah, it could go on and on and on.
Yeah, man. Well, is there an artist you've been listening to lately that you're really digging on? I know you're always listening to stuff.
I like Woven Hand. I've been listening to a lot of that. Kevin Key from Skinny Puppy just put out some new stuff on Bandcamp, which is from 1985, from around the rap, Icebreaker album. So if you dig that time frame, it's not his best stuff, but it's just he found these old tapes and he put them out there and he even put it on vinyl. So I kind of listened to a little bit of that today. I'm listening to something different all the time.
Yeah, I know you are.
Now it's just on your phone. You know, it's so easy.
Yeah.
But something will pop up on Bandcamp of an artist that I consistently follow. Well, I got to get the new stuff, you know, just to see, and it just sounds like their previous stuff.
Well, you saw Skinny Puppy just semi-recently, right? How was that show?
It was really good. They played a lot of old stuff and some new stuff. And, of course, they have the stage theatrics and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that was really interesting. He went from some sort of I don't know what you would even call that, like a spirit creature thing that had like cheesecloth, you know, where you couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. And then he turned it, when that came off, there was like an alien head underneath it, and then that side of that head exploded and brains came out.
That's such a tired concept. I see that on every single show. Cheesecloth creature. I mean, they got to quit doing. Yeah, they're pretty crazy.
It was really neat.
That's awesome.
They really set it off, and it was one of those bucket list bands. So I think this was the final tour, is what they say, but you know how that goes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like Kiss, I guess. Their final maybe they would. They'll be on a walker soon, maybe.
But yeah, it was funny. My wife there was a fellow that had, I guess he was one of the thespians that did, like, you know, they've got masks and stuff on, and they do this like where the guy's attacking the singer.
Oh, okay.
And this fella came out later. My wife said, he's in the band. I'm like, I didn't see him up there. Maybe he's one of the thespians. Maybe that's what she was thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
And sure enough, I went back later and watched some footage, like on my phone and on the internet, and he was like the second keyboard player.
Oh man!
So maybe we could have got backstage if I wanted, because he was out there hanging out with us, and I just didn't know, you know, because he wasn't one of the original members, but he was one of the road guys.
He was like an auxiliary dude.
To do the depth and dexterity of a lot of those albums, you have to have multiple.
Yeah, that
players.
makes sense.
Yeah. So they had, like, you know, guitar, drums, and the stuff that you couldn't even see, because it was like on a riser on behind Kevin Key had this giant like tower thing that he was playing in and doing his thing, and then so there's no telling what all was behind that. You know, when I watched this other little,
probably just a wizard like controlling things in the back.
Yeah, but there was a lot going on after I went and watched not a documentary, but it was like a little on the road thing that they were doing. Yeah, a lot goes into each night's show.
Oh yeah,
and there was a lot of people that you couldn't even see, not just the ones doing. Because so the guy that was playing music was also going back and doing the thespian like acting stuff, and then go back back and playing keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
He was multitasking. And
I got you.
so we might have could have got back to meet the band.
Because it's a lot of work just on a regular like rock and roll show with a regular 4-piece band, but this is like groundbreaking electronic rock, like industrial. So they're doing all kinds of stuff.
And be like, okay, well, yeah. Can you get us back there to meet the band? I was like, well, honey, don't leave me alone. But he was super cool. And Paul Baker's band, Let Into Gold, was there, and I did see him walking around. And if I would have went and talked to him, but I didn't want to miss the show,
Yeah, definitely.
So I was like, I want to go over there and
is that the one you were saying? It was kind of like just a bass with like sequenced electronic stuff.
Well, he played bass and sang, and that's what he did in Ministry.
Okay.
And I think he may have been in Pigface too, but he had a guy. They had like a sequencer and a Moog and a couple other little things, I think.
Cool.
And but it was what you could do with just two men,
Yeah.
And the volume of sound, it was really cool.
I mean, just look at Pet Shop Boys. That's
if I could have,
I love the Pet Shop Boys.
I would have went and watched a couple other shows, but I think that in Atlanta was the only one in the South. They may have did one. I'm sure they did some in Florida, but I don't get much farther than.
I know Ministry's coming to Birmingham next year.
And, Frontline Assembly.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to try to go to that because they came to Atlanta, and I was like, I should go to that, and then. I didn't because I was, working at that. I think I might have even taken off work, but something happened. I can't remember.
You're doing the medical lab stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just your brain is always thinking, and you're good with science and just like that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah,
you've always kind of been like that.
Well, I don't know. I've always been into science, but it's
man. I remember your chemistry lab and made those.
But it's something that I kind of stumbled into, when I worked in the machine shop for 12 years, and then they shut that place down, and then went back to Wallace on the Workforce Investment Act. And a lot of the other stuff, because I waited kind of the last minute to get into the program, and a lot of other classes were filled up with other fields of stuff that you could do, and seen Miss Welch down there and started talking to her. I'm like, all right, I think I could give this a try.
I worked at that lab for a while, but I was more of the maintenance of the equipment and stuff.
Yeah, that was
the molecular lab, for about 10 years. And but I think it's a cool thing because you're actually helping people. It's like what you're doing directly helps other people. So that's a cool part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's more mental than it is physical.
Oh, sure.
We're working in a machine shop. You're gonna feel more physical exhaustion, and that's when you got to do more troubleshooting and multitasking.
Speaking of, I remember you telling me about the machine shop, you getting that metal shaving in your eye.
Yeah.
And that terrifies me. You said they had to drill your eye and you saw it going into your eye.
You feel like something in your eye, but when you go and you look, you don't necessarily see it.
Okay.
So they send you to like an optometrist, and then, of course, they can get in there with some oculars and really kind of big it up. And apparently I had rust growing in my eye where I had a piece of metal, and it gets in that little, the iris, I guess, and it made it kind of hard to see. So, they take this drill bit that's it's supposed to like kind of buff it out, but it just looked like a needle going into my eye.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I passed out.
I bet, man. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, that maybe they would.
They put a numbing agent in there.
Okay, but
like, now don't move.
Oh,
I'm like, okay,
man. And did they say anything like give you any kind of medication other than just numbing your eye?
No, just the numbing
that
agent.
Was it.
Don't move.
That sounds like a horror movie.
It was, like what was Clockwork Orange?
Yeah. They had those things keeping your eyes open.
I just remember waking up in the floor, and they're like, "Do you have seizures all the time?" I'm like, "No."
Oh, man.
I guess they thought I was having a seizure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it freaked me out.
Well, you can have. I know you can have them without having epilepsy. Just
really? The intensity of it.
Yeah.
But they got it done, whatever. And
that's
I could actually
wild, man.
feel it, going in, but it was numb, so you couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
But it's just the pointed object going into your.
Yeah, I usually have a problem with a jagged drill going into my eyeball. That's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, I think they're all good now, but
that's good, man. I'm glad you're all right.
It happened more than once. I was just working with all that metal. I mean, it's everywhere. It's in your,
ears,
every.
Well, I actually worked worked for that metal shop. I have a weird resume, as you know, but I worked at that metal shop for a while, and I still have like, I would grind off pieces of metal, and the little shavings were like curly cues would all be on the floor, and somehow they'd stab into my boot as you walked around it, and eventually like pieces of metal would get stuck in my feet, and like I know I've still got a piece of metal stuck in my foot
I
somewhere.
do all through here somewhere.
And then somebody, Cody, that I used to play in a band with, he was welding one day, and like he went to move to the next weld, and it's a MIG welder, so molten hot wires coming out really fast, and he went to turn, and I just had a t-shirt on and jammed that into my side. It was one of the most painful things ever. It hurt, but then like a few seconds later, it hurt really bad. But at least it cauterized the wound, I guess. So welcome to the industrial horror hour.
Yeah, man, it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Have you talked to Cody? I haven't. He's still living around there.
It's been a little while, man. It's been a bit.
I think he moved away and then moved back. Maybe I haven't really tried to reach out to him.
I think so, yeah. But yeah, that's it's rough. Some of those injuries you can have. Now I'll tell you another fun injury. I knew we'd go off on some weird tangent.
Yeah.
There's this guy they made ammo platforms, and each like sheet, it was like sheet metal, these huge pieces of sheet metal, and they would just stack it up.
Yeah.
But some moron, he was trying to be cool, and he was like, he was trying to see how many pieces of sheet metal he could pick up at one time. But he'd get real close to it, right up against it, and then pick it up. So he picked up a bunch of sheets, but somehow he dropped them on his balls. It smashed his balls, and he had to go to the doctor.
I hope so.
And what made it even worse, and I didn't see this, thank God, but he came back and he had took pictures of them, and he was like showing everybody in the plant pictures of, and I was like, what are you doing, man?
They survived.
Yeah, that was rough, man.
Is that the same machine shop or a different one?
It was the same one. Yeah, the same one. I got a welding thing in my side, and the stab. Yeah, I almost slit my wrist with a grinder too. It went through my welding sleeve, and it just barely made contact on my arm, like right where my veins are.
Yeah. Oh man, using air compression to clean that stuff up, it just goes everywhere. Even if you're wearing, goggle eye protection, I wore aprons, I wore boots up to my knees, and it was still in every orifice. This all the way up was just black from soot and all that die grinder.
Some other guy, he was a new guy. He had a glove, and we had we had propane torches, and one was propane and one was like oxygen or something. Yeah. And he thought it'd be a good idea to turn on the oxygen really, really high and use it to blow into his glove. And a spark went in there and exploded his glove with his.
Yeah, stuff like that happens all the time.
Man. Good times.
0 days without an accident. Yeah. Sure there. No.
Dude.
Safety first.
Yeah. Man, that's freaking. Yeah, I mean, literally, me, you, and Jason, and maybe a handful of other people, we could just sit here and talk about stories forever.
Oh yeah, and when you get with other folks, it's stuff that you forget. You forget how easy it is to forget. And then when everybody gets together, you start remembering.
Oh yeah, man, it's it's like trauma where your brain blocks it out, so it's better for you.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm glad that Jason's moved back down, and I've really enjoyed getting to talk to him.
Oh yeah.
I really need to get out and see a lot of other folks, but it's hard when you got a family.
Oh yeah, you got to prioritize. But man, I'm so glad you came out and did this, man. It was,
I appreciate
it's so weird. And it was.
I'm glad you're back down.
Yeah, me too, man. It's good to be back. And this is sort of I went up there, and most people were really cool, but there was a stereotype that me, and a lot of people know how I am, but people made certain assumptions because they'd hear my southern accent. Yeah. And I know him.
Catch that just being in Huntsville.
Yeah.
We're all still in North Alabama.
Yeah, man. It's
you sound so country. Yeah. Do I really? I guess I do.
Yeah, and I know there's some reasons for certain stereotypes and others, but it's funny because everybody's different. So that's kind of what I was wanting to show is like everybody's different, but we're more the same than we are different. Like everybody. So
I met a lot of folks, and especially up in cities like Huntsville and Birmingham.
Yeah,
and some of them are from the South, some are from all over the United States.
Yeah.
But it's good folks and there's bad folks, but usually for the most part, most people want to get along.
Yeah, they're just trying to make a living and do their thing, and I
mean, no one wants animosity all the time.
Well, I do. I thrive on it. I thrive on anger and animosity. No. Yeah, it's wild, man. But and I've found myself doing it probably for certain things myself. So just judging people because of like a certain thing, like just some slight thing that really doesn't mean anything, but like your preconceived notions in your brain, they're sort of programmed in there. It's like
well, when we were young and how like people kind of like if you weren't like them and didn't listen to music that they listened to, they were really kind of douchebags to us, man.
Oh, not to me. I was so normal, and like I played on the football team. Nah.
But most people were for the most part cool.
Yeah, I think like deep down,
do good to others and not do good to you. But there's always going to be some folks that just want to rattle some cages, I guess.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of Dale Earnhardt Sr. Like when he's getting interviewed one time, he wrecked some guy on there, and he's like, "I didn't mean to wreck him. I was just trying to rattle his cage." I love that interview.
But everybody needs to be rattled a little bit. I guess it makes you
it's
tougher.
Good for you. It helps you to grow. Yeah.
It needs to be a little bit more rattling going on, I guess.
Yeah, man. And that's why I brought this live rattlesnake here in the studio. That's you remember Matt? That plays in Hexus.
Yeah, the drummer.
Yeah, I remember going. He was into. I know he's into like snakes and stuff. And I remember he had a rattlesnake in his apartment one time.
Oh, did he?
He brought it out. We're like, I'm not really scared of snakes, but I am like smart. So I was like, just keep a little distance. Yeah,
but he knows his stuff. He's still got as many as he used to. Spiders. He's got all kind of critters. That guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Big animal lover.
Yeah, exactly. And as am I, and I'm very... a
very talented musician.
Great drummer.
You did the thing with Lyle, and that's the first time I met Lyle and him. Was at a house party on the hill that we were having, and it was... Selling Mary was playing, and they were opening up for them, and they were friends with those guys, and I was like, these guys are pretty good. I really liked them, and especially Lyle he was playing drums then.
Yeah, Lyle's a good drummer too, and bass
Lyle
player.
Play one night, one show. What was that little venue somewhere in Birmingham that was doing shows for a while? But he played like 3 different bands, and each one was a totally different style of music.
Oh, that's cool.
I was really impressed. Yeah, that's where I first really kind of started talking to him. I said, "This dude's rad."
Yeah, man.
And the house on the hill that we were having get-togethers and stuff, and mostly Selling Mary was playing a lot back then. I think they were playing shows with them, and there started to be a bit of a community here in town. My cousin's band was playing. There was a handful of folks that were getting stuff together, and it was kind of neat. We had our little thing, and then it kind of I'm assuming maybe some people seen that, and it made them want to go out and do their own thing.
Yeah, I hope so.
I've talked to different folks that went to those shows. The one with we did Civic Center with the Fun Girls and Faunus and us and CRMC, yes.
Coleman Rap Masters,
the Devil Lords, yes.
Devil Lords,
and that's on VHS somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know if Ward has it or what, but there was a lot of folks in town that I've talked to that went to that, and then they went on to play music and stuff, or they
we're like the Sex Pistols of Coleman. I saw the CRMC, and I knew I want to start a terrible rap band.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man.
It was for sure.
More stuff going on. in town. And it may be. I don't know. I've been working the weekends. Who knows? There could be something going on right now for all I know.
I stay pretty busy doing this thing and then just doing some of my own music now.
There's some decent little stuff going on in Huntsville now, I've noticed.
Huntsville's really growing a lot.
They've got a couple venues that are booking some pretty, bigger acts and stuff. And we're bringing in people that might not come here.
Oh, for sure.
Birmingham, definitely.
Corey Feldman played.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason Green was telling me about it. Yeah.
That would have been interesting to see.
Oh, it was interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff on YouTube.
He's got the moves. He's got some moves, let me tell you.
He does. But yeah, Birmingham's definitely got a continuous scene. You just got to, go on your phone and see what's going on when it's going on.
It's so easy, man. You don't have to even find a poorly made flyer on the wall.
I know. It's good, but it's still, was fun.
Yeah, it just made things more mysterious and special, because it was harder.
You might see a flyer and think it's going to be really cool, and it really sucked.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because the opposite.
The flyer could be just totally bland
and boring, and then, there's nothing else to do, and then be blown away.
Yeah.
It just really depended on how Russell wanted to make that thing look, or how much time he had to put into it.
Exactly. Yep.
I need to post some of those up. I think I did on Facebook, a few of them, but I've got a whole shoebox somewhere of them,
Yeah, man. And it was fun. I mean, we literally made flyers and zines and stuff. We would.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We'd cut out one of those somewhere too.
Yeah,
you and Jason. It was called
Zip Gun.
Zip Gun. Yes.
We'd cut out the actual pieces for everything, and then hand write everything, and then just make photocopies, and that was the zine.
And Ward did something in that too, did he not?
I think so.
Like one of his a pseudo name. It wasn't,
Probably.
Oh God,
I don't.
I'll have
remember.
to find it. Because that's so far back, but it was real fun at the time.
Yeah, man.
And this is cool.
We were publishing our own magazine just with
that was an off day
copier and a bunch of cutout pieces.
But I'll have to look it up. I can't remember what he went by in that. He may have went by 2 or 3 things, knowing him.
Yeah, that is.
He had many names.
He did. He's like Legion. There are many of him.
Yeah, ain't nobody like that guy for sure. He's awesome.
For sure.
I miss him.
Hadn't talked to him in a while. He's doing good.
I hope he is too. I really do. But he went out to Austin where a bunch of them went,
Oh, yeah. Yep, for sure.
The happening place to be.
Oh, yeah. That's where all the stuff is happening.
We're still here.
Yep. Still. I came back. I was over there almost Canada for a while.
Yeah, where was it? Exactly. What state was it?
I was in Indiana.
In
Fort Wayne.
To think of that.
That's where Sweetwater is.
Yeah,
So I was in Fort Wayne, but it's right there. It's about an hour from Chicago, I think.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that far.
And then only a few hours from Canada. And I never got to go to Canada.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I don't miss this heat down here. I enjoyed it being cooler and actually seeing snow and stuff.
The older I get, it's just harder to breathe.
But
all the time.
The snow, man, it was I've been taught if it snows at all, it's like panic, like Armageddon.
Yeah,
up there, it's like
everything down.
Up there, it's like feet and feet of snow. It's like whatever, man. Just you better be here, yeah. But they do treat the roads, and they got more of an infrastructure. But still, it's crazy. Yeah. But I guess you get used to it.
Yeah, I've heard anybody from up north comes on here and makes fun of us.
Yeah,
the schools and everything. It just comes down to a halt. But if you work at a hospital, it don't matter what it is, you got to be there.
Oh yeah, and I get it. Why it would be funny to some people, but without the infrastructure, with the roads being treated, it's a different story. So. Yeah. Faux show.
I've never been above Tennessee.
Man.
But I've been to South America one time.
It's interesting, man. Fort Wayne, I liked Fort Wayne, but everything was flat. Mm-hmm. I told everybody, it looks like a John Cougar Mellencamp video everywhere you go.
And that would be just weird for me, because everywhere you go out here, there's a hill, there's a mountain or something in the background.
It's just flat, and you can see really, really far away.
And they just kind of freak me out. Just thinking about it,
it's weird.
Like a Tangerine Dream album cover.
Yeah.
It's on forever.
I've been telling everybody it's like a John Cougar Mellencamp video, but maybe it's more like a Tangerine Dream.
All those geometric flat spaces that go on forever.
Yeah, man. I like it. It's good stuff. But yeah, it's interesting too, because in that area, it's kind of rural, a lot of that, but it's So it's like a rural accent, but like they talk a lot faster still.
Yeah.
So it's like I had to like listen faster. I was like, wait, what? Because I'm used to hearing somebody talk. And I'm used to hearing somebody like, wait, what? And so, but once I got used to, but then I came back here and I had to relearn how to hear really slow talking Southern people. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because you get your ears or your brain gets tuned to hearing certain things.
Your subconscious is learning to adapt, then it's having to learn to readapt.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I was like, I got to turn in my Southern badge. I can't believe this is happening. But yeah, dude. Well, hey, I appreciate you being on, man.
Yeah, it's been fun.
This is awesome, dude. But like I say, you're one of my best friends of all time, no matter what.
I know.
And yeah, we don't get to see each other a whole lot.
I know.
But it's like I have
family into work. There's always something going on.
Yep, and I have to make a show so we can hang out.
But maybe we can catch a show. There's always something coming up.
Yeah, man.
Just just pick it up on your phone. There's always something coming.
Absolutely. Well, hey, man, appreciate you being on. I guess that's our episode. Thank y'all for checking it out and hanging there. We got a bunch more to come, and we'll be back some other time next Friday, probably.
Have a good pleasure. Thanks.